Hello, we're going to look at piecewise defined functions, and you can see below here I have something that we call a piecewise defined function. And what that means is we're going to take functions and define them in their domain under certain intervals, right? So the first one says, for this one says it's equal to this when x is less than 3, strictly less than 3, and it's equal to this function when x is greater than or equal to 3. So what would this look like? What they did is for less than 3, they graphed this line. It has a y-intercept of 3, and it's a negative slope going down. But then once it gets to 3, it's going to use this function where it has a slope of 1 right through here. And if you plug in 3, you can see that's equal to 0 though, so it starts here and it goes like this. And then what is this equal to? Well, you can see right next to it, it is the function of the absolute value of x minus 3. So there's two ways to write, this right here, and this are equivalent functions. Now we're going to look at a few examples, but we're going to learn how to use these, show you how to use these in a calculator, because our TI Inspires can graph piecewise functions for us and make things a little easier for us if need be. So for the first one, it says consider the function, this piecewise function right here, and then we need to evaluate it, then sketch a graph of f. We're just going to use the calculator and then write down the domain and range. So if I go to the calculator, and I'm going to go ahead and you're going to look for this little button right here that'll pop up, and this gives you some options. Here I can plug in a two-part piecewise function right into the function window, so it gives me all the parameters that I need. And the first one is a negative x minus 2 squared, and then I want to say x. To find the inequality symbols, it's the equal sign, but you got to do control equals, and it'll give you some options. Less than 3, and then I can go punch in the next parameter, which is x minus 4, and I need that to be x. The window is going to be greater than or equal to 3, and I can hit enter, and it graphs the piecewise function for me. And it wanted me to find f of 0, f of 3, and f of 4, right? So I'm going to figure out what these are using the table function. And I can say f of 0 is equal to negative 4, f of 3 is negative 1, and f of 4 is 0, right? You could also just use the equation. If you plugged in 0, you had to use this function. F of 3, you had to, because it equals 3 here, you could have used this function, and f of 0 would be the first one. And so those are how I can get that. Now, write down the domain and range. Well, if you go back to this graph, you can see everything's connected. Really easy. So the domain is going to be all real, and so is the range. The range is all real. It's all real numbers. Sound good? Now, there you go. Now let's look at another piecewise function. We'll look at this guy right here, and we'll use the calculator again. This time it has 3 equations and 3 parameters, right? So what I'm going to do is open up another graph, and I can go to the same symbol that's right here. It's got a big window of different things, but this time I need three functions with 3 parameters, right? A piecewise function. I can add more to it if I wanted to, but I know I just need 3, and then I can plug everything in there. I got negative x squared plus 1, and that's for x is greater than or equal to 0. Go to my next equation. This is just a constant number 2, but then it's going to be between 0 and 4. So I got that one. and then 2 plus the square root of x, and that's for x is greater than or equal to 4, right? And there you go. And do I have it all in there right? It looks a little, no, that should be right. So I feel like something's missing. I did type in something wrong up here. Let's see. This is supposed to be, this one here is supposed to be less than or equal to, and now it should be right. Yeah, there we go. That's much better. Plugged in the parameter a little bit wrong, and then we had to find the table. I can go to the table, and I needed to find f of -1. So f of -1 is -2. F of 1 is going to be 2. And f of 4 is 4. And then f of 9. F of 9 is 5. There we go. And then, so that's our sketch. We've got our range. What's the domain and range? Well, the domain, you can look at this. If you look at this, I'm going to remove the table. You can see the domain. Everything's in the domain. So that's x is in the element of the real numbers. And the range is going to be y such that y is less than or equal to -1, y is equal to 2, and y is greater than or equal to 4. And that gives us our domain and range. Sound good? All right, thanks.